In the whirlwind of controversies surrounding the 2024 election, one key question has persisted across the media and public discussions. Was the election stolen? And if so, how? Alongside this inquiry is a more complex question: whether Donald Trump can be constitutionally disqualified from running for office again, based on his involvement in the January 6th insurrection. As both of these topics continue to capture the attention of voters, commentators, and legal experts alike, it's essential to separate fact from fiction and examine these claims through a legal and constitutional lens. In this video, we'll take a deep dive into the claims that the 2024 election was stolen, breaking down two major theories that have emerged on social media and in political discourse: the theory of missing votes and the theory that Elon Musk's Starlink satellites had some involvement in altering the election outcome. Then, we will turn our attention to the legal question of whether Trump is disqualified from holding office, particularly under the 14th Amendment's Insurrection clause. By thoroughly analyzing these questions, we aim to set the record straight and clarify what's truly happening in the political and legal landscape. This investigation will look not only at the legal aspects, but also at the broader social media narratives that have stirred up so much confusion. It is important to approach these matters with an understanding of how election law works, what constitutional protections exist for candidates, and how we, as a society, can ensure that democracy remains strong amidst these divisive claims. The question of a stolen election: separating fact from fiction. The notion of a stolen election has been a central talking point for certain factions of the political spectrum, particularly in the aftermath of the 2024 election. As often happens with highly contentious elections, allegations of fraud and manipulation begin to emerge, sometimes without evidence and other times built on misunderstandings of how the electoral process works. In this section, we'll address two of the most popular theories surrounding the idea that the 2024 election was somehow stolen: the theory of millions of missing votes and the claim that Elon Musk's Starlink satellites played a role in tampering with the election results. The theory of missing votes. The first major theory involves the claim that millions of votes were mysteriously missing or altered, a narrative that has gained traction among some Trump supporters. This theory has often been linked to the early vote counts, which were incomplete when reported in the immediate aftermath of Election Day. What many fail to understand is that the vote tallying process can take weeks, especially in states like California, where mail-in ballots and other forms of early voting require time to be counted. As the final vote totals come in, we see a more accurate picture of the election results. For example, in the 2024 election, Donald Trump added roughly 2.8 million more votes to his total compared to the previous election. Meanwhile, his opponent, Kamala Harris, underperformed by approximately 6.8 million votes compared to Joe Biden's performance in 2020. This was a trend noticed by many analysts, including CNN, and demonstrates that the supposed missing votes were more likely due to the time-consuming nature of counting ballots rather than any fraudulent activity. The role of Elon Musk and Starlink: a conspiracy theory or a legitimate concern. Next, we address the theory involving Elon Musk and his Starlink satellite system. The concern here is that Musk, through his powerful network of satellites, could have somehow interfered with the election. Some have speculated that Musk used his technology to manipulate voting patterns, while others have pointed to comments made by Joe Rogan regarding Musk's ability to predict the outcome of the election through some form of secret app. While the idea of Musk being involved in altering the election outcome seems far-fetched, it's worth exploring the specifics of this theory. Musk's satellite network, while powerful and capable of affecting global communications, does not have direct access to voting systems. U.S. voting machines are not connected to the internet, and they are safeguarded by extensive networks of local and federal officials who monitor for suspicious activity. The idea that Musk satellites could directly affect election results, then, is highly unlikely. However, there is a more troubling angle related to Musk's involvement in data collection during the election. Musk's publicized giveaway, where he promised $1 million prize for petition signers, raises important questions about the use of personal data and how it may have been leveraged to influence voting patterns. While there is no direct evidence to support the claim that Musk used his satellites to alter election outcomes, the manipulation of data for political purposes is a serious concern that warrants further scrutiny. The bullet voting theory. A deeper dive. Another element related to this theory is the so-called bullet voting, the phenomenon where voters cast a ballot only for the presidential race and abstain from voting on other issues or races. Some analysts have pointed to a rise in bullet voting as potentially indicating strategic manipulation of the electorate, perhaps tied to the influence of figures like Musk. However, as votes continue to be counted, evidence for this theory has not materialized in the way some proponents expected. Bullet voting, while not uncommon, does not appear to have been as prevalent or anomalous as initially feared. Analysts have pointed out that, in some cases, bullet voting is simply a reflection of voters' disinterest in down-ballot races or a lack of familiarity with the candidates. Moreover, comparing the number of votes cast for the president versus other offices may not provide a clear picture of whether such voting patterns are abnormal. The data on this is still inconclusive, and more time and analysis will be needed to determine if any pattern of bullet voting warrants concern. Trump's disqualification. The 14th Amendment's Insurrection Clause. While the stolen election narrative continues to dominate certain sectors of the public discourse, the question of whether Donald Trump should be disqualified from running for office again is another major issue that has captured national attention. This issue revolves around the 14th Amendment, which includes a clause barring individuals who have engaged in insurrection or rebellion from holding public office. Many legal experts and political commentators have speculated whether Trump could be barred from running for president again due to his role in the January 6th Capitol insurrection. In this section, we will explore the legal arguments for and against Trump's disqualification and analyze the outcomes of previous legal challenges. The case for disqualification. The 14th Amendment's Insurrection Clause was designed to prevent individuals who have actively participated in or incited rebellion against the government from assuming positions of power. Proponents of Trump's disqualification argue that his actions surrounding the January 6th Capitol riot, including his encouragement of the violent mob and his refusal to act to stop the attack, should disqualify him from holding office again. Several cases have been brought before the courts attempting to disqualify Trump under this clause. However, these efforts have faced significant legal hurdles, primarily due to the complexity of proving that Trump's actions rise to the level of engaging in insurrection. The legal standard is high, and the courts have thus far found insufficient grounds to bar him from the ballot. The Supreme Court's role in the matter. One key turning point in the disqualification debate came when the U.S. Supreme Court weighed in on the issue. In a series of rulings, the court effectively decided that the question of Trump's eligibility should be left to individual states rather than a blanket ruling at the federal level. This decision, while disappointing to many who hoped for a definitive ruling, reflects the court's preference for state-level determinations regarding election eligibility. Some argue that the Supreme Court's involvement was unnecessary and that it should have more clearly addressed the constitutional question. However, the court's stance has created a legal landscape in which different states may continue to take their own approaches to disqualifying Trump, which could lead to inconsistent rulings across the country. As we've seen, the questions of whether the 2024 election was stolen and whether Donald Trump should be disqualified from running again are not straightforward matters. While many claims, such as the idea of missing votes or Musk's involvement through Starlink, have been debunked or lack substantial evidence, these theories continue to circulate. It's essential to approach these issues with a critical eye, recognizing that while concerns about election integrity are important, the legal and factual evidence often fails to support the more outlandish claims. On the issue of Trump's disqualification, the legal landscape remains complex and unsettled. The 14th Amendment's Insurrection Clause presents an interesting constitutional challenge, but despite efforts to disqualify him, Trump remains on the ballot for now. Whether this will change in the future depends on further legal developments and potential actions from state-level authorities. Ultimately, the key takeaway is that we must continue to protect our democratic processes by ensuring that they are transparent, fair, and grounded in truth. We cannot allow misinformation and conspiracy theories to undermine the integrity of our elections. As always, it is crucial for citizens to remain informed and engaged in the political process, pushing for reforms that strengthen our democracy. Stay tuned for more updates and analyses on this topic, and make sure to subscribe to our channel for ongoing commentary on the intersection of law and politics. Together, we can build a stronger, more informed democracy.